Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Savage Goose Show, where we talk about all things Savage Worlds from the past week. And today we are joined by Brandon from Star Anvil Studios. How are you doing today, Brandon?
Hello.
We were going to be talking about the new Starbreaker Star Marines Kickstarter. But first, we're going to talk about the news. And as always, feel free to chime in, Brandon, if you have anything you want to talk about in regards to that. Give me 1 second, though. I'm realizing there's a slight problem here. I'm going to fix real quick. Oh, no, maybe not. All right. StreamYard keeps changing things recently. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Anyways, so first we'll talk about the newsletter. And sorry, I had some. So they keep changing things since just it's getting me. All right, newsletter. So I'm going to go over here. So first off, there is currently a sale that is 30% off the Deadlands: The Weird West Crater Lake Chronicles. For users who don't know, Crater Lake is a area in south central Oregon, and they're currently closing it due to visitors to allow certain areas to recover from the excessive wear and tear of tourism and everything. But if you don't know what Crater Lakes Chronicles is, it is a set of solo adventures. So if you're into solo gaming, you can pick this up for Deadlands and play through a solo Deadlands game by yourself. If you need recommendations for anything, or if you have recommendations for solo adventuring, leave them in the comments below. For me, I mostly use what I do. I don't do it very often. Still trying to get the hang of it. I use the Mythic Game Master emulator, but there is also a Savage World specific game emulator as well, if you want to take a look at that. Do you do any solo gaming, Brandon?
I've never done it. I really enjoy playing with other people. It's like the whole reason I play. But
Right.
I mean, just saying, like, I won't say I don't get it. I just haven't found it to be something I'm interested in yet. But I'm thinking about trying it just to see what other people like, just so I know more about what people do at some point,
Yeah,
just to get the
exactly.
feel for it.
And I've seen quite a few solo gaming books for Savage Worlds coming out recently for different things. So yeah, take a look at that. The spring sale for Savage Worlds Maps and Ponds that's been going on for a few weeks now is still going on. If you want to take a look at that, this is a big bundles, big deals on bundles of ponds for different games, for Deadlands, East University, Holler, etc. So if you're interested in getting some physical ponds and maps for your games, go and check those out. Those are pretty good deals over there. This week's Savage Worlds Media Roundup. It's not tomorrow, but Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Sorry. I look at my calendar here. Thursday, Necessary Evil, Altered Morality for the Knights of the Smith's Dinner Table will be on over at the Savage Universe. And then Friday, on April 4th, Brandon, who's with us today, will be over on the Savage Universe answering all the questions that I didn't ask today. So if I did not, if I didn't ask something that you want to know the answer to, go ahead and just, go ask there.
On over.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice because I find like I was on the jam there a couple weeks ago. I was like, yeah, it's funny. Our calendars almost always look the same. Our schedules. So yeah, just go over there. It's nice. You get a first look here, and then you get more information over there when you have more questions. But go check out those. There is an update for Suede for 4.4 on Foundry VTT. I found that Foundry seems to be one of the most popular online VTTs for Savage Worlds, and maybe just in general as well. But there's some new features that are coming along with this 4.4 update, including some vehicle crew and active effect subtypes. So check that out. I'm thinking about investing in VTT. I haven't done so yet, so I'm thinking about maybe getting into Foundry. But if you have a different recommendation, let me know. Gamehole Con is coming. That's not coming up anytime soon, actually. Sorry. So in October, October 16th through the 19th. But if you are going to be running any events for Savage Worlds, you can submit them through the Savage Alliance. It's a bunch of game masters that share passion for Savage Worlds. So getting together and running games. There's an online forum that you can sign up to run your games. Go and take a look at it and meet other people at Gamehole Con. If I go to one, this will probably be the one I go to because it feels like this is where the one that everyone seems to go to. But yeah,
that's what I hear about that one.
That everyone goes to it.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I'm going to try and get there myself at some point.
Yeah, I'm if I can swing it, I may try to go this year, but I doubt this year's going to work out. But we'll see. October is a long ways away still. And then there is our things to come for crowdfunding. The Sunfish Companion is finished on shipping, and if you want your booster campaign for Pathfinder Savage Worlds, make sure you go pay for that shipping. Make sure you go fill out the form, go to your I think it's on Backer Kit or Kickstarter, one of the two. Go to your pledge manager, whatever pledge manager is, and finish doing all that. So make sure that you can get your stuff on time. All right, so with that, let's go and move over to some new products that came out this week. I have a system set up with DriveThruRPG to get notified of new products and everything. And the first product I wanted to talk about is, let's see, make sure that worked. Oh, this went away. Gotta find the right one. There we go. The first one is Savage Worlds: The Golden Isle. This is a Savage Worlds Adventures Guild product, so that means it's part of the community content, and it is a way for you to run pirates in Savage Worlds with a homebrew, some playable PCs. There's some extras, and there's ship details. There's also a one-shot basically built into this little adventure. So go and take a look at that if you're interested. It's $24. But if you want to run some pirates, go check it out. Another one that came out recently, this past week, is another creature profile from Scarlands. As you guys are probably aware, I'm pretty excited about Scarlands. I did a video on one of the creature features earlier, going over the stat block and kind of looking at it. I've already got the Gauntlet of Sparagos. In fact, I actually realized I actually have a printed copy of the original Gauntlet of Sparagos in one of my binders, and so I'm really excited to see more of Scarred Lands for Savage Worlds as a nice fantasy setting for Savage Worlds. So I'm super excited to see all the stuff that the Aegis Studios is doing for that. Aegis Studio also released another Creatures and Side Quests, so a small 6-page document for more options for your Odysseys and Overlords game if you're running Odysseys and Overlords using Savage Worlds. So a little more supplements for that. Go check that out if you're interested. And that is all the new products that were of note this past few weeks. Let me go ahead and stop sharing here. And we move on to the next section of our stream. I keep hitting the wrong buttons. They changed a lot on StreamYard.
Well, it's better you than me because I get confused with a lot of tech. That's why I have other people do it for me.
All right. So next up is the Kickstarters. So ending Thursday, April 10th, it's a Vermilium Sticking in the Dead on Kickstarter. This is a new adventure for Vermilium based on a one-shot or one-page adventure that they released before. There's going to be some more options in this book, and I've personally got this all backed up already. In fact, I have all the Kickstarters on this backed already. I really enjoy Vermilium as a setting. I haven't unfortunately gotten to play it yet. I've tried doing some duet play with my wife on this, but we haven't don't have the commitment to sit down and do this. We need to a dedicated time so we can get through it. The other Kickstarter that's ending April 17th is the Han Cluster role-playing game. This is from Tracy Sizemore. This is a game that people have been waiting a long time for, so I'd highly recommend checking it out. It seems like there's a lot of work going into it, and it looks really exciting. So check that out. And
Han Cluster is amazing.
You played Han Cluster?
I've played it at a convention when Tracy ran it, and I mean, breaks some of the normal conventions of gameplay, like, don't separate the party doesn't really apply because of the next, right. Which really makes for an interesting way to play versus a lot of games. And just Tracy's a fantastic person, and it shows in the setting. So it's definitely worth backing and following.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. And it looks like it's going to be a really well-made product as well. So I'm really super excited.
Absolutely.
Just not just like the content side, but like the book itself is going to be like a beautiful book. And I know people have been, like I said, people have been waiting for this for a while. So if you are interested in this, you also check out last week's live stream where I talked to Tracy more about it. But we're here today to talk about this one, Starbreaker. This started today, will end April 25th. But before we really get into the details of it, I do want to go over, and we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna grill Brandon as much things as I can about this new supplement. Before we get into that, I do want to mention this month's Ace Licensing Spotlight, which is Battlelords for Savage Worlds. This is Battlelords of the 23rd century. You can see the book here. This is the Carnage Companion. So what you see on the screen is the core rules. This is the Carnage Companion, which adds more details for your character and all the gritty sci-fi combat that you can imagine in a sci-fi setting. The one of the nice things about Battlelords is that there is just a lot of options throughout the different supplements, different adventures, different books. I think there's 5 books in total that has like all the content that you can just imagine for a very gritty, very I'd say a little bit darker sci-fi game. So take a look at that. Very crunchy too, I'd say. It takes a very crunchy approach to Savage Worlds versus some other products. Let's see here. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start talking about Starbreaker, Star Marines.
Yes.
So, so again, if you're just joining us, we are here with Brandon from Star Anvil Studios to talk about the new Starbreaker Star Marines campaign on Kickstarter. This is a setting for Savage Worlds that we're going to be talking about. But you've been on before to talk about Starbreaker before, but that was a different product. That was Starbreaker Saints and Synners, which is essentially is the core rules for this new supplement as well, right?
Yeah, it's the core setting. Saints and Sinners, a lot of people I think feel like you can only play you're either a saint or you're doing the undercover stuff. It actually covers the whole setting a lot, and you could play your typical roguish group of characters, and it's just that was the focus to give some kind of dynamic to the setting. But yeah, you would want that before you bought this, because all the story, the background, everything's pretty much loaded in there too.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is going to be a supplement. This is an expansion to it. And sorry, I'm just going to try and move some screens around here. There we go. And I pull it up here. And so let's talk about the story. You mentioned the story. Let's go and talk about story. Let's give me a brief background of Saints and Sinners itself, or the Starbreaker itself, the setting. Let's everyone who doesn't know, who isn't aware of what Starbreaker is. What is like the elevator pitch for Starbreaker?
Starbreaker, I hate saying elevator pitches. I've never been able to give anyone that, so it'll never come out of my mouth. I should probably learn to do it, but it's not me. So it's basically, the world, the galaxy had a, intragalactic war, big bad aliens came in and just trashed everything. And now I purposely put that as background. It's like it happened, but you're not playing in that. I want to set up the reason why the galaxy is how it is. And now what you have is a fragmented Terran, all of Terran space, Earth space has been fragmented into 3 primary groups. And the big thing is the criminal element is really just corrupted and gotten everywhere, and it's no more it's worse it's the worst in the rim worlds, where the syndicate effectively is the real power behind the government. And so the thought was, let's give the players a good guy, bad guy, or good guys is a strong term in Saints and Sinners, a less bad side versus a really bad side. And it is the Saints are, the government can't just go in there through warfare and take that back. The power's too entrenched and they don't have enough to do it. So they send Saint agents undercover, other former syndicate members called Synners, to try and undercover take it back. That's one way to play the game. And that's kind of just sets up the galaxy. There's the corporate worlds, the rim worlds, and the Star Systems Alliance. That's Terran space. And that's where most of the focus is. There's the aliens are mentioned that are out there, the different ones, but that's where I really put the main focus of the book to start. So a very human-centric view of the galaxy to start, because that's what people are most going to familiarize themselves with, and then we can always grow from there as we build out.
Okay. So we mentioned Saint. And you mentioned that we can't take anything by force back from the syndicate. You're trying to do that. So so if we can't do it by force, where do these Star Marines and this new product show up? Or what's their story, and what is their use in this?
So the Star Marines existed during what I would call the Armageddon War, when the aliens came in. But afterward, they got all their equipment upgraded. They're trying to get the military to be strong enough so this can't happen to them again. And so there is a military. It can be used, but they use it more strategically for high value things. They're more guarding the more fortified worlds are more guarded, and then they're starting to try and take back some of or protect the colonies they have. And what we did was a good friend, Ross Watson, had written a bit of a setting. Some pages are called the Siren Belt, and we took a look at it and go, I could take this whole setting and make it into a place that people could do things in.
Mm-hmm.
So we took that, and what it is, and it fit the story so well. That's why it was so easy to convert, because it has the elements that were there. So we looked at the progenitors, the big, powerful aliens that exist in the setting.
Okay.
Basically, the Siren Belt is where they used to live. So there's technology and ancient alien stuff there. There's different powers that have settled that area, and now the Star Systems Alliance, who comes into conflict with the corporate worlds a lot, doesn't want the corporate worlds to get that alien tech out there. But the corporate worlds and the Star Marines, or the Star Systems Alliance, neither one owns this sector of space. So there's planets to explore, find stuff, kind of like Stargate would go from world to world and explore things and find tech,
you
kind of
just
thing.
mentioned my favorite Star series.
Star series, yeah, Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate. That's the one.
So yeah, what we did is I thought, well, that's why the first stretch goal was the military scientist, because it fits to bring that in there, and I figured we'd hit that one. So yeah, it's kind of like they're there, so they'll come into conflict with the corporate worlds, and that's kind of the setup. The conflict is while there's these people that are there that have settled it, the real conflict is going to be the corporate worlds versus Star Marines. I want to have a set conflict. You can bring your syndicate Synners there. There's a whole government. They can do all their criminal stuff there. It's absolutely appropriate. But the core setup is going to be the conflict between the corporate worlds and the Star Marines, as far as the big thing for the players to play.
Sure.
From the new supplement.
Yeah. So in the new supplement, it's a combination of just like, obviously you're gonna have the new profession, but how to be a Star Marine,
right?
But you're also including a bunch of stuff about a particular area inside the universe, that people can go to, which is got it. So
it's a new toolbox for Jim to have a place to explore. It adds new professions, new aliens. It gives you more to do versus. And I didn't want to just only make it about Star Marines fighting, because then it has such a limited use. So we expanded the galaxy and added that as well.
Awesome. So now, so in Starbreaker, one thing I don't think we talked too much about, mentioned this already, but in Starbreaker you can play as other races. We're just, we're not just playing as humans. There's other races in the core book that you can play as, and you are. Is there any new races in this book?
So let me see if we hit the stretch goal, and I'll tell you yes or no yet. I mean, we're like $170 away from the Kiftiri. They're a bird-like avian species that will be added to the book, and I feel like we'll hit that. I mean, I think we'll do $3,000. It's a very low stretch goal to hit. I purposely made it easy. I wanted to add these things, so I said, well, let's make the easy ones to get. Sure. So yeah, they're pretty cool. They're largely cybernetic.
A cybernetic avian species.
They're, as a species, they're not cybernetic, but the ones players would most likely encounter outside their homeworld would be cybernetic because of the nature of how they work. They're called the Hapata. That's sort of like it's not samurai-like, but they are a warrior caste type. Like that's the ones that they protect, and so that is what they do. They're the ones that are cybered up, and they have these cool energy wings that they use to fly, because they, as the species evolved, they lost their wings, but now they got these force field wings that can fly, and they use those as weapons and protection. It's a pretty cool setup.
Okay,
I think, of course.
Yeah. So you mentioned that. So going back a little bit, so we have these. When it comes to the Star Marines, so Star Marines, are they? They're not all humans, though, right? Like the Star Marines themselves are inter-alien, or do they tend to?
Typically, they will only be humans simply because, number one, art costs a lot to make it show up. You could do whatever you want in your game, sure. But realistically, the Earth, the Star Alliance is almost all human. Yes, there's other species in that, but it's a human government. So the Gilgar, which is the ones with the horny ridges, the horned ridges on their head, sort of like a goat type species, are members, but they're not likely to. They might be part of the of the Star Marines, but they wouldn't be like the ones in the elite units, only because the armor's all custom set for humans and building for other body types. Like the Gilgar have retrograde legs. You'd have to build whole new armor. Yes, they could do it, but and I'm sure and a lot of people might even play that way. And it's totally acceptable. It's just not what I kind of set it as. So
Sure.
yes,
So,
you could.
yeah, of course. Of course you could. But as far as like, asking just what the lore is,
Yeah,
what is
so much.
Yeah.
It would be the answer. Like they would be the cool exception. Like they were so awesome, they had to put them in the unit kind of thing. So, which is perfect for players. That players are awesome to be the exception, but as the general rule, no.
Okay. How do you imagine that if other species are inside the alliance, outside of humans, but the military is broadly speaking mostly human, how does that affect the relationships with other the other races?
Well, the military itself isn't necessarily broadly human. It's just specifically the Star Marines and that hard armor. So you're going to see a mix of a lot in the others. And there aren't a lot of the way we kind of designed the setting is there are other species who obviously live in the population, but there's such a low population amount that there wouldn't be a lot anyway. Just because the way that we settled it up, we didn't have a lot of there's not a lot of species living on other worlds enough so that they probably move there, less being born there. And if you're moving there, you're not necessarily joining the military as much. Yes, it happens, but it'd be at a low percentage. I mean, again, whatever way is cool, but not a lot.
So humans are like the big colonizers and just rapidly expanding, and then
they're rapidly expanding. One thing I did do is the way I set it up is that humans colonize worlds, but they weren't colonized worlds where other people were,
right.
with one exception, and it's looked upon poorly. It's an example why they're not a good government. They're not perfect. They are human.
Humanoid. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now you said there's only how many other races in the alliance?
So
I was thinking about Star Trek
Federation. The Zek are a species that have joined. They are allies, but they would never serve in the military. They're ancient, powerful aliens. They're part of the progenitors, so they help, but they wouldn't serve in the military. At least not yet. I have some story like later on, but they're not now. Yeah. Then there's the Gilgar, which were essentially a world that was politically agreed to join the Union, but they didn't know what they were signing, kind of thing. So they're there, but they're the ones who might, if anyone, might try and break away. So yeah, okay. I mean that's the only two species that are actually in the alliance specifically. There's others they're allied with, but they're not the Star Systems Alliance. It's treaties between the Star Systems Alliance and the Vukolosai Union, or the Russian Trade Conglomerate, etc. Throwing out names because I know them.
Yeah. So okay. So Space Marines usually are human. There could be some exceptions. Mm-hmm. Now, I assume. I imagine like when I think Star Marine, and I think Marines. I think some of the you're some of the best, in the military. I think Star Marines are, I'm thinking like based on what you're saying, they're the elites, but they're the elites for the Federation. So one of the questions I'm asking is, do the other species have their own elites? Like the avians, the Kifteri.
Terry, yeah.
Do they have?
Well, the Hapata are their elite.
Oh, okay.
If you met them, you're meeting their elite. Those are the ones that you would find out in the general public. I mean, mostly. So yeah, and the Vukolosai have the Gospod Nacht, which is the what does that mean again? Something Night Warriors or whatever. I forget what the exact translation we came up with for that. But yeah, they have their elite units. The Russian Trade Conglomerate they don't really have elites. They just specialize in, they want to make money no matter what they do. So they hire out security to every planet that will hire them. So it's not so much elite. They just have a lot.
Okay. So in that regard, because for the races that do have elites, like the Hippolyta, is there situations where the Star Marines would work with the elites of these other species in certain missions?
Oh, absolutely. Because they're allied, I mean, they would definitely cooperate. That was kind of how they survived the Armageddon War with the superior power of the invading aliens. It was all these species had to come together to withstand, and they still had a trashed, what was left of the galaxy had to be rebuilt because they just kind of barely survived it together. So yeah, that's definitely
Okay. Cool. Right. So there could be, so that could be easily be like a something that to allow in lore players to have these other races.
Oh, absolutely. You could find ways to connect it, no problem. I mean, now I'll probably tell Daryl, he mentioned a good point. Make sure we explain how these guys work together. Daryl does a lot of the writing. He takes my notes and my ideas and makes them usable for others.
Sure. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know I had another question.
I see some questions a lot in the chat.
Yeah. I just want to try to save those for the end, so I don't like.
Okay. I don't want to miss that one.
No, I just want to say I'm starring them here. So
yeah,
as you guys are asking questions, I'm starring them, so I make sure that to ask them when we have time. But I think I'm ready for that. Oh, actually, no. Let's talk about the book itself real quick. Also, we said it has some new hindrances, new edges, new professions, vehicles. There's going to be some adventures, some one sheets.
Yep, there's 3 one sheets. Will be an interconnected set of one sheets. A mild, I wouldn't really call it a plot point, but it's like a mini plot point.
Yeah, like a larger adventure, a grander scale adventure, and then the adventure generator. In which, if you guys are not using your adventure generators, I highly recommend using them for your games, even if you're doing the plot point campaign, like just interspersing some like random adventure generators along the ways, because for me at least, it's a very good use of or a good way to get me thinking, and it's a good way for you to start learning to improvise as well with your players at the table, because you have a loose outline of what you want. You've come up with some ideas based on the outline, but because it's not set in stone and set in a particular thing on a piece of paper, it really gives you the freedom to be a little more flexible and impromptu and improvise at your table. So
it's like a word prompt. It's like a writing prompt. It gives you idea. If you didn't, it kind of breaks you out of the same old ideas you might have and gives you something to work from. So
yeah, exactly. So I highly recommend using them. There's gonna be some new monsters. You mentioned there's gonna be some section about the Siren Belt. Overall, I mean, obviously, I know you're still working getting art probably and layout and stuff, but how many pages are you expecting this approximately this book to be?
Well, I know what I want it to be but I know that I feel pretty confident we're well over 70 pages right now, but I'm shooting for 96. And I think if we put all the art in there, we finish all the writing, some of the other details I want to throw in there, I think we'll probably hit that 96 mark. But I didn't want to put it in the Kickstarter and promise it because, hey, you said 96 and it was 85. And so we didn't feel like we got what you promised. So I took that out. Originally it said 96 pages. I'm like, I don't know if we'll hit that. So let's make sure we do it before we say it.
Okay. So yeah. So a nice decent sized supplement book to go along with it. Because the Starbreaker one, the Saints and Synners one, that's like 200 pages?
216-ish.
Yeah, it's around 200. So perfect. All right. So let's go ask some questions. The first question someone asked really early, they asked it before we even started the stream or before I was even in here. Is C Fed one? Do you need the previous books, or is it a standalone expansion? That you do need the previous books. We've established that. Also, not related to the Kickstarter. When's Knights Arcanum going to be a thing?
Barring any unfortunate things to occur, I plan on doing that one next year. This year is filled all the way to the end, so it'll be next year at some point. I mean, that one I put that one up a while back, and then things changed and so much happened. We have almost 700 people following that one for launch. It's just sitting there with a bunch of followers. So I guess I need to make that one. I mean, the people really want that one. So
I'm one of those people who are following it.
Well, that's great. I mean, hopefully I'll show up on the launch day.
There you go. So if I go to my saved projects, I have Knights Arcanum right there on the upcoming projects. It's launching soon. Launching soon.
And I could turn that off, but then I would stop letting people find it. So let's just leave it there for now until we launch. So I'm even wearing this is my Knights Arcanum shirt.
Oh, perfect.
See that there a little bit? It's one of my favorite t-shirts to wear. So it's definitely in my mind.
Perfect. Cool. Let's see here. Venkel asked, because Savage Worlds' roots are in a war game, do you think that Star Marine could be used as a war game?
I mean, I suppose it could be done. I mean, I know that its roots are there, and I know that there are a lot of supplements for it. I don't know if we've provided enough. Like, we really thought about this as a squad, player character type group.
Mhm.
We're not really trying to build a war game necessarily. I don't have the experience for that even really to say to how to
Me
build
either.
it. So yes, it could if you grab. I know there's someone did like some battle rules and stuff, and I'm sure there's a way to take it
Yeah.
and use it. And maybe that's something someday maybe we could add more to, but I wouldn't want to try and do it this time out. I didn't focus on that. So
Yeah. So one of these days I want to grab like the rule set for uh I usually remember the name of the ability Great Rail Wars. There we go.
yeah,
Some of these days I need to grab the rule set for that so I can see the connection between this war game and Savage Worlds, because I know that Savage Worlds has its roots in a war game, but I'm very curious to see like what that war game looks like, because I look at Savage Worlds, I don't particularly see a war game, but that's very interesting to me as well. See if it does says yes, you do need to make it.
yes, some people have told me so.
Let's see here. Let's try and pull this up. Star Hamster of Doom says, "What is the Star Marine's favorite flavor of crayon?"
Blue, because there's the color blue right there in their symbol.
Hamster Doom also says he really enjoyed the playtest for Knights Arcanum. So
Yeah, that was a fun adventure, and I mean, I don't mind people ask questions about that either. I mean, that it's I love the setting. What's interesting is Knights Arcanum exists because of Starbreaker.
okay,
What had happened when I was writing Starbreaker, I was getting it going. I worked with this fantastic artist, Zach Dolan, did all the pencil work for the original art. Laurie Foster was doing the inks. Eva Roscoe, he did all the colors. There was traditional comic book art. I mean, I have pencil drawings in a box that he sent me when he was done. Actually, his brother made sure I got them. And the reason his brother made sure I got them is he passed away. This has been how many years now? Probably 4 years more. It's anyway. When he passed away, I kind of that's one of the reasons why Starbreaker took so long to come out. I didn't really want to work on it for a while at that point. I was like, nah, I don't feel it right now. I got to get a new artist. I liked his art. His art was what made me like, it inspired me to keep writing stuff, And so I said, well, let me toy with a new idea. And I said, what would happen if you put X-Men in a fantasy world? And that's where you see the inspirations from some of the original characters. And so, like Sledge, the guy who's got the big rock body, is my Colossus kind of character. I mean, we and then I realized after a while that essentially that premise is essentially He-Man or Thundercats, because superheroes, like in a fantasy world, that it's not exactly that, but it fits a lot. So we did do we kind of yeah, there you go. That was sort of my Cyclops kind of character. It's because he shoots energy, he's ranged, and he's the leader. Also, he has fabulous red hair like I used to have before I went bald. So usually if you see a red-haired character with a goatee, it's the character I made for me to play in a game. That's almost always the case. That's me in the game if I get to play. There's Sledge on the cover.
Yeah, I feel that fits with it always kind of fits a little bit with Pinnacle stuff, because it's always red.
Yeah.
With her red hair.
There's Ripclaw up front. That's my Wolverine kind of type character, except she's got energy claws. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. But that exists because Starbreaker got stalled. So, and then when I finally got it rolling again, that's why Knights Arcanum got pushed back. Is like, well, I've been working on Starbreaker for 20 years. I think I'll finish it now.
Yeah. Well, so that brings up going back to Starbreaker then. That does bring up another question then. It's like, so we have the core rules, we got Space Marines, and I know you've talked about having other ideas for different things you could do inside the setting as far as like game types, essentially. Like, we look at Saints and Sinners and the gameplay options that you kind of, styles of play you given that, and then you're giving Space Marines, which kind of offers a different style of play. What other ideas do you have in the future that you're exploring for new areas, new play styles, etc.?
Well, there's at least I wanted to do my next provided we can get it done. It won't be next year. I really, because it's going to be a bigger book if I get to do it. I'm just going to do the Terran space, which is really going to encompass all of the really detail the worlds and such, but will especially highlight the corporate worlds. Will be a big thing, because in there it's like you've got your Shadowrun type missions and
Okay.
corporate spies. So that'll be more spy and less direct combat. So there's that right there would be one thing I want to highlight.
So a little more like cyberpunk-esque.
Yeah, focus on that a little bit more in that section. And there's room for more player options and GM options and just general world building there for everyone to really get the whole setting more in depth. And then after that, there's because Siren Belt is kind of setting up a long-term story, and not directly that you'll get to see it now, but will allow me to add it later. There will be a definite option for more exploration, sort of Star Trek-ish, not like the Federation exploring per se, but explorers of space in general.
Right.
And
So
so
not
that
yeah. So like not government sponsored exploration, just
maybe a little bit of both
Okay.
competition between more. I like to always have two sides to everything, so there's going to be there'd be a lot of people wanting to go wherever that exploration is and see what they can get. And then there's smaller scale stuff that I'd like to do. That would be like maybe a 32-page supplement. Bounty hunters. There's a whole way to just play as bounty hunter, especially a team of bounty hunters. There's Arrow, which is sort of like a combination of like the Coast Guard and the police a little bit in space. They go rescue people. They respond to problems on planets when there's small issues.
Like responding to distress signals and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Or if there's the planet says there's some pirates have come to the planet, they'll respond to smaller issues that's beyond the military. You don't need the big military, so they do a little bit of everything. So there's some opportunities for some small supplements too that add to the play.
Nice. Okay. Great. So you've talked about some of the story elements of the of the setting, the Armageddon War, different things. You mentioned, I think, some people that you're going to add in eventually. Is the plan that each book then will also kind of develop the story of the universe a little bit?
Well, yeah, I always want to you want to move the story a little bit forward, but you want to sort of Tracy had a great discussion on their podcast, Designing Problems, about do you want your world to stay the same or do you want it to change? Because if you change too quickly, then the player's like, well, now I need that book to play. I mean, that's one way of looking at it.
Sure.
I think I want to expand the story and the scope of the world, but not necessarily move the plot forward too much. Like, hey, you've been exploring Terran space. What's going on over here in the galactic empire of the Sceptrids? There's still story there that you could say is happening at the same time, but I don't want to necessarily have world-ending stories. I think I want to have stories that can be encapsulated without changing the entire timeline. So all your books are still pretty pertinent. There is a plan for a expansion that will, provided I keep making books, that will really take it sort of out of the galaxy. We'll leave it at that. But
okay.
We'll see if that ever happens. We'll see if that's a ways off, because I want to focus on expanding what's already there and really getting it deep in detail. And that's probably 2 or 3 more books before I would move past that. And that'll be a couple of years anyway. We're small.
Let's see here. I see a few questions. I'll answer this a question about. Peter says, if one were to hypothetically steal a QECL, what would the biggest risk be from the device itself, if any? I'm not sure if that's
that's a quantum entanglement communications device. That's how they can talk faster than light.
Oh, okay.
Be risk from the device itself? Well, I mean, people might be able to, if it's turned on and you don't know how to operate, someone could track you back to where you're at. There's always that. I mean, that the only one of those is like the keys to the kingdom. So they're usually on military ships or on planets control them. So they're pretty important in the settings.
Okay.
Hackers would love to get a hold of them because they could directly link in at the and really get into the system kind of thing.
There you go. Amsterdam says, in place testing or at conventions, one of the most fun scenes that you had a chance to run in Starbreaker.
Was that the scene that there were suddenly nuns? That was suddenly nuns. So
That's the title. Suddenly
nuns. No, that wasn't actually a planned scene. It was where the players, the characters had gotten into a fight and things were getting kind of crazy. And just to make it interesting, one of the players said, if you can spend a penny to have something interesting happen. So I think they essentially said a group of nuns come tramping through the street and there's nuns everywhere and it confused everything. And yeah, suddenly there was just nuns everywhere in the middle of the situation. And I still remember, I think, trying to remember, John Pirich is a name that comes. I think it was in that group. It was insane. Everyone remembered it the rest of that weekend. So,
all right. And then on the flip side, in early writing, did you find something that wasn't quite working when you were doing play testing of the setting? Like what ended up in the cutting room floor?
Well, we did cutting room floor. I think it didn't work. Part of the thing is we cut out some of the background lore because it was unnecessary. Like there was so much I had done of the prehistory. It's like that's too far back. That's too deep. We don't need that in this book. I mean, it's just I needed to know it, but nobody else needed to know it to put it in the book. So there's probably 2 or 3 pages right there. And then I think early on I was going to go with full on cyborg humans, like just get all the gear and stuff. And that's really where I didn't like, for me personally, how generally speaking in games it feels like being cybernetic is arguably better than being a non-cyborg in every game because you're so much more powerful, you have some more bonuses. They try to balance it, but it's like you can just buy your character better. And so that's where I came up with making it an arcane background, using the rules that exist for why cybernetics are. You basically have this bioreactor that powers everything cool in the game, and so it's a battery that has to build up. That's why your cybernetics can function at a normal level, like your arm. You want to grab a pencil, right? Fine. You want to try and punch it through a wall using boost trait. You've boosted your strength. That the battery only runs for so long at the higher levels, and that's how we. And that's actually what spawned a lot of the things becoming arcane backgrounds in the settings. Like, well, if it works this way, let's be consistent, and it worked out well. Other than that,
I say the arcane background, the way that the thing that I admire about Savage Worlds is how much you can just kind of like repurpose so many existing things, for whatever purpose. Like, hey, we're going to do cybernetics this other way, and honestly, I like that you did cybernetics that way instead of the like the cybernetics and sci-fi companion, because it means that you don't necessarily need the sci-fi companion to run the game.
That was part of the reason we had it too. You do need the sci-fi companion if you want to build ships, if you want to really run space combat. We tried to minimize the need for it, so most times the GM could probably say, I'm just not going to run space combat, or I'll make it a dramatic task. And you could ignore the sci-fi companion pretty much at that point. Not totally, but pretty much. And that's not because we don't like the sci-fi companion. We just want to make it less needed for so the players, GMs could play. I mean, it's a fantastic book.
Less books that you need to buy to get into it.
But if you do buy it, so many more aliens and things you can add to the setting that you can just grab. So it's a fantastic ad. I would suggest it strongly.
It's a great toolbox for whatever you're doing.
And then as far as anything else cutting from, I think it was a matter of focus. Actually, the Star Marines were cut from the first book.
Okay.
Because it didn't fit the focus. It was like Saints versus Synners and Star Marines. It's like, that's too much. Like, and we got almost 100 pages of content here. Why stuff it in there? And it doesn't really help tell the story. So we'll find out where it fits. That's why I can do this one so quickly, because we had so much art, notes, and stuff already done from when I had started it. So yeah. So technically, Star Marines were cut, and now they're back.
Now they're here. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about that I didn't think to ask you about when it comes to this new project?
I mean, nothing for Starbreaker. If anyone anyone missed the Secret World North America expansion, if they want to, that's still on backer kit. If they want to add on and grab that too. We sold that's got almost 3,000 books out there. I mean, between promotional copies and stuff, there's a lot of people who have Secret World. So, I mean, if you haven't grabbed it, I think a lot of people have, but it's a pretty cool add-on.
I grabbed it. I just gotta, I don't I definitely grabbed it, but I'm trying to think like, did files get delivered for that already?
Not for that one. That's still on backer kit 2.
Oh,
They're
okay,
still
okay,
making it. Yeah, that's
okay.
that will be
So, so,
finished
so
fairly
just
soon.
the Secret World stuff in general. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
My Secret World copy is back here with my Templar cover.
Mhm. Yep,
So
you got that one. Yes. Mhm.
yes, got that one. Okay. I was like, did I miss the delivery of those files?
Yes, only you. No.
I was like, oh no. All right, yeah. So you guys aren't familiar with Secret World? Go check it out. They were it was one of my, it was one of the swag licensee spotlights that we did, or not swag licensee, swag / ace licensee spotlights that we did. I think it was either last month or a couple months ago already. So yeah, go check out
Time flies.
that. Yeah. Star Anvil, you guys make a bunch of really cool things. So go check out Star Anvil Studios and all the cool projects that they're working on. Knights Arcanum, something else in the future that.
Oh, you mean the thing that I can't name yet?
Yeah, I think you can't name it. I don't know what it is either.
I will let you know. I will let you know early on so that you can get me on the show. We can talk because I'll be screaming from the rooftops when it happens.
Yeah, so look forward to that. And congratulations on getting funded. And we're only a few, first stretch goal all the way through.
See how close we are before we end.
We are $139.
$139 away from getting the next one done.
Yeah, and we still have plenty of time to go with 23 days. So go ahead and check out that project. I know obviously there's 2 other projects going on that everyone's really excited about. So just
back them all.
Just back exactly. That's what I'm doing.
Just get if you can't. I always think one thing I'd say is like, there's thousands of Savage Worlds fans. If all like if 5,000 always said, I can't back it, but I'll give that project $5. Almost every project would fund. Just give us $5 each. It'll be great.
I feel like all of them fund already, anyways.
Yeah. We could maybe more stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get more, and I'm excited for all the stuff you guys are working on, and I'm excited to hear whatever this is that you're not going to tell us about. But congratulations on all of the success so far, and we look forward to seeing what's to come. And again, if you guys think of any questions that you did not get to ask today, check out the Savage Universe stream on Friday, which is a slightly different time than usual. Check out the Savage Universe stream on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. No, sorry, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern time? I
believe it's 8.
Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central my time. That's what it is.
9 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So go check out that and go ask the questions there. And I hope you guys all have a great day, and may your dice always ace. Cheers, everyone.